How children modeled and taught me how to navigate a big conversation about sharing big, vulnerable feelings, how to foster care, how to express authenticity, and how to express feelings and own one's feelings and boundaries, all in a calm, compassionate, loving, and understanding way. I'd like to share a real life example where one of my students taught me something. I was working at a school as a drama facilitator. One of my students came up to me, Shaheen, I really need your help with something. And she expressed to me that she needs to tell her best friend something, but she was afraid of the reaction that her best friend was going to have. So I asked her why, and she said that what she wants to share with her best friend might hurt her. Can I tell you and you tell her? And I was like, what is it? And what she wanted to share with me is that her and her best friend were about to be partners in a school market, a craft market. She didn't want her best friend to be her partner, and she was scared that that was going to hurt her best friend's feelings. And I asked her, why don't you want her to join you? And she said it's because she's been spending a lot of time with a friend lately and she just wants to do it with someone else. As her teacher, the first thing I had awareness is wow, this was really vulnerable information that my student trusted me with. I take that really responsible and I feel honored that she trusted me with such sensitive information. And the lesson was that this little 8-year-old had the awareness to seek help. And that was a lesson in courage, asking for help. Instead of just going to her friend, she came to me and she was vulnerable and courageous enough to ask for help with something that she was struggling with. What she wanted was completely fair and valid. She was okay to feel that, you know what, this is my best friend, but I also would like some space. So the first thing I did was I acknowledged her, I told her I heard her, and I validated her feelings that it was totally okay to feel that you also need your own space. And I also was really honest that this is really vulnerable information. There is a high chance that your friend is going to be hurt by this, but you are allowed to feel what you feel. And I said that you have to tell her. I can be there with you, but you have to tell her. I facilitated basically a non-violent communication sharing circle, and I went into a private space. I called in the best friend and I said, hey, X wants to share something with you. It's really sensitive information. And I checked with her, are you okay to hear it? And the friend said yes. She shared the information. I sat there and I observed. I could immediately see the best friend filled up with emotions. As their teacher and facilitator, I acknowledged the best friend's feelings and I said, thank you for listening and receiving your friend so openly. I understand how this is hard for you. You are allowed to feel sad. And in this moment, the best friend burst into tears. And I just sat there, allowed her to feel those feelings, really acknowledging her, letting her know that it is okay to be sad, but also letting her know that her friend is allowed to have these feelings and making her understand that, do you want to always be with all your friends all the time? And giving her that perspective and compassion that her friend really wants her space, but it's not out of anger. It's a really big concept for 8 and a 9-year-old to really sit in a space where she sat. She was sad that her friend told her this, but at the same time to understand and have compassion, number one, for herself and her own feelings, but also to accept her friend's choice. And the lesson for me was from the kid receiving the information is that you can have understanding and perspective, but you can also have your own feelings and your own hurt. And it's okay to exist with both those feelings at the same time. That you're allowed to be hurt and upset, but also have compassion and understanding. And the one doesn't exist without the other. And here I am sitting with 2 8-year-olds. Number one, the lesson is, wow, emotional regulation, asking for help, compassion and sensitivity, and having the courage and the boundary to express yourself and to do it in such a beautiful way. And maybe in a different time it would be a little bit catty, but in that particular moment, I was so moved by these 8-year-olds modeling how I would want to communicate boundaries, how I would want to communicate my feelings. And in this moment, or in that particular moment, when my student reached out to me to help her communicate these big feelings, she was teaching and modeling how I want to communicate in my life. Using the model of nonviolent communication to foster a safe space and mediate such a big vulnerable share between two students who seek my help, the outcome or the resolution at the end was each person being heard. One friend wanted to express her feelings of that she needed space. The other friend needed to receive her and also express her emotions on how that made her feel. And she expressed she felt hurt, but she understood, but she did feel sad. And I also expressed to the friend who, even though you expressed your need for space, she is allowed to feel hurt by how you feel. Your actions or your feelings are valid, but she is also allowed to feel hurt. And that fostered the care of, it was really big feelings. It was such a vulnerable space, but even though there was hurt, there was emotion, it was fostered with care and genuine care and love that everyone had their feelings, but there was also understanding in the middle of how each other felt. And before I ended the mediation, I asked them both, what do you need? And the one friend who delivered the message of needing space, she wanted to hug her friend. And as she leaned into for a hug, I stopped her and I checked with the other friend. I was like, are you in the space for a hug right now? To which her friend responded, not right now. And I continued the encouragement of boundaries, and I went to the one friend and I said, I know you want to hug your friend right now. I know you really feel bad, but she is not ready for it yet. Do you understand that? And she understood that even though she wanted to hug her friend and she felt bad, her friend wasn't ready for that. And I asked the friend, is that in time, will you be ready for it? And the friend said, yes, but not right now. I encouraged them both. I thanked them both for being so courageous, for speaking so calmly, and for feeling what they felt and understanding each other's perspective. And within 20-30 minutes, they separated, they took space from each other. I called them back together again. Emotional regulation. They had time to regulate, to let their big feelings settle. I brought them back together and we had a follow-up conversation. The one friend was ready. She totally heard her. She received. She had gotten over her hurt a little bit more and they were ready to hug, and the two of them hugged it out. And that was a beautiful example to me how the children modeled how I would love to deal with conflict and sharing vulnerable feelings.